Modeling market power, part of our lecture series on market power. In this video, we're going to discuss how we model market power and what the efficiency trade-off is when sellers have market power. You've seen this chart in a previous video. This previous video shows what we think of as the range of market power, because it's not just everything's perfect competition on the left side or everything's monopoly on the right side. Really, most markets are somewhere in the middle of either monopolistic competition or oligopoly, where firms have some market power due to maybe brand differentiation or due to barriers to entry into the market, but not as much market power as a monopolist would have. So I wanted to bring back this chart and to tell you that when we're talking about modeling market power, what I'm really talking about is modeling the right-hand side of this chart. So again, let me define monopoly. It's one firm that sets the price. The industry or the market must have high barriers to entry, and there must be no close substitute for the good. If there's a close substitute for the good, workers or consumers would just go and consume the other good, so this monopolist actually doesn't have a lot of market power. So when you think about some monopolies in your life, you could think about the internet service, how you get internet at your house. You could think about taxis in a city before Uber and Lyft became prevalent. And you can think about Amazon. These are all examples of monopolies that we have in our current life. Now, just like any company, a monopolist is going to supply to the market as long as marginal revenue is greater than or equal to marginal cost. In a perfectly competitive market, that point is going to be at the market price, but in a monopolist's market, that's not going to be at the market price. That can be way below the market price, thus allowing the monopolist to make a really big profit. So that's what happens in a market of a monopolist. We can sort of see this on this graph. In this graph, we can see what we have here is a declining marginal cost curve. Now, you won't see a supply curve when we talk about monopolists, because a supply curve is really when we talk in a market about a bunch of firms. So instead, we'll see a marginal cost curve. This marginal cost curve happens to be upward sloping. So that means that the more the monopolist produces, the higher the cost. But you can imagine that a marginal cost curve is flat or a marginal cost curve is downward sloping. So any of these are possible. Now, what we see on this graph is that there's a competitive price, which is P underscore compet on the y-axis, and a competitive quantity, so a Q underscore compet on the x-axis. And this would be, if this market was a market of perfect competition, what the price would be and what the quantity supplied by firms would be in this market. And you can think about what the consumer surplus would be in the competitive market, and it would be a triangle above the competitive price and below the demand curve. Now, you can also think about the producer surplus in a competitive market, which would be below the competitive price and above the supply or marginal cost curve. Now, as a monopolist, the monopolist prices where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And one of the nice things about a demand curve that's linear, like this one is that we know the marginal revenue curve is actually the same line with just twice the slope. So it's just steeper than the demand curve. So it will be always under the demand curve. And so what you'll see is the monopolist's quantity that they produce is underneath the price that demand curve. So what they have is the monopolist price is the price the consumer pays on the y-axis. All that area from that up is profit for the monopolist. And so the producer surplus in this situation is much higher, and the consumer surplus is much lower than previously. Now, we also have this triangle over here that you're familiar with from when we do taxation, because the geometry of this problem is similar to the geometry of the taxation problem. And again, just like the taxation model, this triangle is an area of efficiency trade-off. Except this efficiency trade-off is not to provide government services. This efficiency trade-off is to provide producer surplus. And that's the efficiency trade-off that we make. That's the deadweight loss from a market with a monopolist in it. So when we model a monopoly, we talk about the marginal cost curve instead of the supply curve. And the monopolist provides the market with the quantity where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, or the marginal revenue up to when the marginal revenue is greater than or equal to marginal cost. And this is going to result in an efficiency trade-off over a market of perfect competition. Thank you.